Welcome to Bashy's Corner in Brussels. We are here to attend ENAR's General Assembly. It is one of the organizations which is very close to my heart, and I am here today with the director of ENAR, who is also very close to my heart. Michaël, it's a pleasure to interview you first time.
Thank you, Bashy.
You started with this as a networking officer, and then ENAR hired you as the director, and that was in 2006, I understand. It's a long time. Has it been a long journey for you?
Yeah. I started, as you said, in 2006, and I think that, by the way, you were on my interviewing panel.
I was.
Yes.
As the chair, I had to
as the chair, you had to interview me. Indeed, and I was hired first as a networking and campaigning officer. So I did this job for 4 years, and then I moved to the director position in 2010. And indeed, so it's now 13 years that I've been at ENAR, and it's been really a journey for me. I think that the part that I've been enjoying the most has been really like being in connection with anti-racist activists all across the EU and beyond, and it has been like really having a grasp on the richness of experiences, of stories, of the expertise in the field that our members have on the ground and in the fight that they are waging against discrimination on a daily basis.
Many people who don't know about ENAR and who are watching this program, can you just tell us a little bit why it was started and when it was started?
So ENAR was started in 1998, so we celebrated our 20 years last year, actually.
Exactly.
And it was actually at the time of the EU 15, so it was another era, and it was felt really that at the national level, organization had reached the limit of what they could get from member states that were quite reluctant to give rights for equality on the ground of race, ethnicity, and so forth. So they came together at the European level to develop this power, and with the hope that by challenging the European institutions, they could have great change in terms of legislation, and that this could be trickled down later on at the national level. And exactly this is what happened. And people like you and many others, you've been making a wonderful job of really changing the European legislation. So in 2000, that was like 2 years on the go for ENAR, we had the European Racial Equality Directive that was adopted, the Employment Equality Directive, which are really like milestones in the fight against racism. And after this was like all across the EU, in all the countries, this change happened. And so like we are nearly one generation down the line, and now we can really see the impact that it has had on the lives of individuals and communities all across Europe, even if it's not perfect yet.
No, but if we look at 1998 and today, there's a huge difference. The discourse has changed, the narrative has changed. What challenges do you see for the minorities as far as racism is concerned, discrimination is concerned, anti-Semitism is concerned, Islamophobia is concerned? What kind of challenges do you see today which we should be dealing with, ENAR should be dealing with?
Yeah. So one of the paradoxes that we have is that now we have certainly at world level one of the best anti-discrimination legislation in all European countries. So we have strong laws. That's very good, and this is the result of the work that activists have been doing. But on the other hand, we see really a consistent rise, or at least a strong establishment of populist right, far right parties or groups of movements that are really challenging the very idea of equality for all, no matter which kind of background you are from. And we think that it's extremely difficult because this is pervasive. It doesn't stay in their political cluster, but you have even progressive that are saying like, well, actually, maybe they're right, you know. And so we are really like feeling that the very idea of fundamental rights, of human rights, are being challenged. And of course, anti-racism is really at the core of the problem, with actually feminism and classism. So these are the kind of three issues that are really like so political nowadays.
But some people say that in this fast age of information, where you have very quick information moving, do we still need grassroots anti-racist organizations?
Oh, more than ever. because you know what, Twitter doesn't make the life change. Actually, at some point, yeah, you can build movement, you can increase communication between the movement with Twitter, Facebook, and all other sorts of social media. But at the end of the day, the social movement, the change, the revolution is happening at the grassroots level with real people in real life deciding to make a change.
So they need it.
Yeah, absolutely need it, and they need absolutely to be reinforced. And I'm thinking like a country from Denmark, for example, that you know so well. I mean, for us, it's just such a black spot on the map, to be very honest, because there has been a will to constantly cut off support and funding for organizations that are fighting for the rights of minorities, and a society, however good is the human rights framework, that does not make sure that the rights of minorities are preserved and protected is not a society worth to live in. So that's something that really...
This GA's topic of discussion was solidarity and movement. And I think it's a wonderful that this movement is coming. Now, from ENAR's perspective, do you think that this anti-discrimination, anti-racist alliances should be bigger now?
Yeah, this should definitely be bigger. Actually, we are still at the very beginning of developing this movement. What we see too often is that organizations that are fighting a specific form of racism are not necessarily talking or collaborating with other organizations working on other forms of racism. Like typically, you would have the organization working on Afrophobia in their corner, on anti-Gypsyism in their corner, and so forth. So we need to bring those movements together because ultimately you face the same kind of challenges. They might be a bit different for every single form of racism, but not only that, we need also to broaden that alliance with the rest of the population, with other movements like the LGBTQI+ movement, the feminist movement, the trade union movement, and so forth. Because
so they feel inclusive.
Yeah, because actually, if you just talk with the 10% ethnic minority or country, you just don't change anything. So our issues needs to be connected to the whole society, because as we say, the problem of racism and discrimination is not the problem of the ethnic minority, it's the problem of the majority. Absolutely. So we need the majority, like, hey guys, come on board. A society without racism is a society that is better for everybody.
In the end, I want to give you a good news that in Denmark, which is in my eyes one of the most Islamophobic country in Europe, we had a government for 20 years who has been really nasty. This time, because of certain reason, minorities got up and started voting, and result was the Danish People Party got decimated, and
good news.
And the Quran burning politician couldn't come in the parliament, and so there will be a new government. And I'm happy that ENAR is there, so we can channel our energies in there. Thank you very much, Michaël.
Thank you, Bashy. It was a pleasure. And what you bring is proof that solidarity and movement building are necessary, because this is how you make change, like going together and shifting the situation.
So I want to say to our viewers that people like Michaël, who has spent their almost 20 years now working for an issue which is everybody's issue. It's not only one minority, it's two minority, but this is an inclusive issue and we should deal it inclusively. Thank you very much.